I conclude my review of scripts that you'll need for programming your Flash games with a discussion of timers. When designing Flash games, it's often necessary to set up timers or clocks or other time-limited activities. In ActionScript 3.0, the timer class is the interface to your timers. This class lets you execute any code repeatedly over specific time intervals, or you can use it to run code on a specified time sequence. This is an extensive class which offers much more functionality than the older set interval method that was used in ActionScript 2.0. You'll use the start method to start a timer and then add an event listener for the timer event. You'll then set up code to be run on the timer interval. So to use this timer class, create an instance of the timer class, which I'm doing right here, variable myIdentifier, timer equals new timer. Notice that the new timer method takes two parameters, the delay in seconds and the number of times you're repeating the timer. You'll then listen to the timer event.timer using the add event listener method. So I'm setting up an add event listener for the timer event.timer. Then I'm running this timer listener function. Then create your event listener function to execute the code you wish to run, either repeatedly or on the timer. In other words, after a certain amount of time has elapsed, then run this function timer listener. There's that timer event void. Don't forget the curly braces, and then your commands will go down here for the function. Then you'll start your timer using the .start method right here. We've seen that before for starting our audio playback for our sound objects. Remember, that took two parameters, one for the delay and again one for how many times you're repeating. So it's very similar, that start method, whether you're starting the timer or you're starting your audio playback. You can also perform a lot of useful work with the getTimer function. This function returns the number of milliseconds that have elapsed since the Flash movie started playing. You can also compare the getTimer value at one instant with the getTimer value at another instant to get the elapsed time between the two instants. Use this elapsed time to create timers for games and activities. You can use this technique to time how long a player has been at a certain level or mode, or how long they've taken to answer a question or complete a test, or even award more points the longer the player survives a shootout or some other activity or challenge. Go ahead and open the timer.fla file in the work files folder for an example of a script using this getTimer function. In this case, if you do a control test movie, you can see that I'm checking to see how long the time has elapsed since the movie started or since the last time I clicked on the mouse. 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, then it starts over again. So to set up this script, first you'll create a dynamic text field on your stage. Give it an instance name. Here I labeled it timer_text. I also added some labels here. Click mouse button to reset time elapsed. Click on the first frame of the timeline. Open up the Actions panel. We start by declaring a number variable named start time, and then we assign it an initial time of 0 right here. You can easily set up levels in your games by putting a different initial value here. For example, to give the player less time to accomplish the task, you could set the initial value to 5 or 6 or 10 or 20, and then when 30 seconds or so has elapsed, the game then ends. In a new line, set up an event handler assigned to the stage to detect when any mouse click is made anywhere on the stage. Stage.addEventListener, mouse event click. You can also change that to a double click or to a mouse over or mouse out. Then I'm running the reset function when that event has been detected. Here is my function reset call down here. Inside this mouse.click event handler function, enter start time followed by an equal sign and then the function getTimer, open close parenth, semicolon, right there. That's the active method that we're using for this timer in this example. This establishes that whenever the mouse button is clicked, Flash will put the elapsed time since the movie started in this start time variable. That's why we're setting it to 0 to begin with. Close out the function with the closing curly brace, and then on a new line add another event handler to detect the enter frame event. Right there, enter frame, all in uppercase letters, underscore between the enter and the frame. When that event has been detected, notice that it's also attached to the stage there. So this runs all the time. When the enter event has been detected, which is always, run the showtime function. Set up your function showtime, my event, event void, open curly brace. Now within the enter frame event handler function, declare another variable. This one is called current time, right here, variable current time, I'm setting that to a number equals get timer. What this will accomplish is that Flash has been told to continuously get the time that has elapsed since the movie started and put it in this current time variable right there. So the get timer gets a value from Flash that is when the movie first started. Now on the next line, but still in the function, declare yet another variable. This one's called elapsed time. It's going to be a number, and you're going to set it equal to the current time minus the start time divided by 1000. What this does is calculate the difference between the current timer and the start timer the instant the mouse was clicked. So every time the mouse is clicked, it calculates that difference. We divide by 1000 to convert it from milliseconds to simple seconds, much easier to read. And then on a new line down here, we convert the elapsed time value to a string and put it into my dynamic text field. Remember, it's labeled timer_txt. Close off the function with a curly brace, and now test the movie. Control test movie. Make sure you're not getting any errors, nothing in the output panel. And the time elapsed should just run. Remember, that's in that event listener on enter frame. So it continuously runs, and then each time I click on the mouse button, I'm resetting the time. So it's measuring the time that has elapsed since I last clicked on the mouse. Experiment with different event handlers to create timers when different events or different situations occur, such as when collisions are detected or keyframes are entered, or perhaps you can set up a timer when movie clips are first loaded into the game. You now have all the basic components to create simple but highly entertaining Flash games, quizzes, puzzles, and other user interactions. But let me now move on to the next movie and give you some ideas and techniques for using and combining the scripts I've reviewed here to create more interesting and playable Flash games.